Hello game developers! The last video about pausing a game sparked some stronger reactions and I'm very thankful for that because this creates some interesting discussions. I wanted to make a follow-up video to talk about the differences between using TimeScale or enabling and disabling mono behaviors. You made me go back to the Unity documentation and I would like to share my updated view on pausing games. Spoiler alert, I am a little bit more happy about TimeScale again. I also want to start by saying that I have been wrong about some parts and a little bit right on others. What do you want? We are developers, we have egos. Jokes aside, let's dive into it. Just to reframe the situation that I presented in the last video, on one side we have time.timescale to pause the game. Changing this happens most of the time in some kind of game manager singleton. On the other side, I showed you an alternative way which disables mono behaviors, and this is triggered from a game manager singleton as well. In both cases, we need some kind of overload. And they are kind of opposite concepts. Here we pause everything and deal with what needs to play. And here we pause nothing and deal with what needs to pause. TimeScale affects the speed of the application. When it's 0, frame rate independent functions are paused. Now, fixed update and coroutines with wait for seconds will stop as well. And if you want to do slow motion, you also have to scale the fixed delta time yourself. So, time delta time is affected by the timescale. What about time.time? Yes, it is adjusted by the timescale and you have real time since startup for the unscaled equivalent. So if you write code like this, you are safe. And this I honestly missed on my approach. Update and fixed update is clear. Timescale at 0 will also pause physics. Now, as many of you mentioned, if you want something not to be paused, there is time.unscaled delta time. For some components, there is indeed an option to choose the timescale. The animator particle system can use unscaled time, audio mixer as well, which I didn't know, and playables like the timeline. Now, coroutines, we read before that wait for seconds will pause correctly. However, yield return null will not. The coroutine will continue. That's something to pay attention to. Now onto the alternative. So we simply disable and enable mono behaviors to pause or resume. Enabled mono behaviors are updated. Disabled ones are not. Let's take a quick look at the order of execution of mono behaviors, which is this bad boy. At the top, awake on enable, and we work our way down through all the methods, some of which you often override. At the end we have on disable and on destroy. So disabling a mono behavior affects the entire execution tree, but what's most important for developers is that this will effectively pause update and fixed update, and the methods on enable and on disabled will also be called. So the downside and the reason why this approach exists is that we don't touch the timescale, which means that, for example, this type of statement is not great at all because time.time continues. Going through this made me reconsider my approach. Before I had the gameplay class, which is part of another singleton, and it was keeping track of the state and invoking events. The abstract class, which is made shorter for clarity here, had the boolean, some guards, and was enabling, disabling this mono behavior. The flow is essentially get the singleton, pause the game, this invokes the event and all mono behaviors receive it. Those who need to pause will disable themselves, and in post-pause we do some custom stuff like coroutines or physics. So after reconsidering timescale, we can do those changes. So we add the timescale changes in the manager, and if we need custom behaviors on pause or resume, we can implement a custom class or register to the event directly, or refactor to an iPausable interface, use another event system, whatever. So what happens really is that we move the pausing capabilities from one side to another side. Here, the power is in the mono behavior. Here, the power is in the manager. But the choice of delta time or unscaled delta time is still on the mono behavior side. This means that the management of time is not centralized in one place. And that's about it. A great exercise to fully grasp how Unity works. I certainly learned a few things. Thank you so much for watching, keep developing, keep commenting, and I will see you next time.